¿Empezamos? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Buenos días a todos y a todas. Salam aleikum. Como se hace habitualmente en las reuniones, vamos a proceder a hacer una lectura del Corán.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور صدق الله العظيم.
Da comienzo el acto de apertura de la 24ª sesión de la Secretaría General del Liderazgo Islámico Mundial y también del Seminario Internacional Alianza de Civilizaciones, Alianza por la Paz. Tiene la palabra el señor Francisco Tejada Gallego, concejal del Ayuntamiento de Córdoba.
Ilustrísimas autoridades, amigas y amigos, buenos días a todos. En primer lugar, quiero darles la bienvenida a la ciudad en nombre de nuestra alcaldesa de Rosa Aguilar, que no ha podido hoy estar aquí presentes con todos ustedes. Córdoba es una ciudad de encuentro, es una tierra que ha forjado su carácter abierto y generoso precisamente por ser desde siempre un lugar de convivencia y de respeto entre distintas religiones y culturas. En esta ciudad milenaria creemos firmemente en la Alianza de Civilizaciones y el diálogo intercultural como los instrumentos precisos y necesarios para construir un mundo más justo, donde las desigualdades queden erradicadas y donde la paz no sea un fin, sino definitivamente una realidad. Nuestra aspiración no es otra que la de trazar puentes, nuevas vías que nos permitan recorrer juntos caminos para la convivencia y la paz. Esta ciudad, patrimonio de la humanidad, supo dar una lección que queremos seguir recordando y regalando al mundo. El mundo se construye sustentado en los valores de convivencia, de igualdad, cooperación y diálogo. Un mensaje que no debemos olvidar.
Yes, we shouldn't forget this aspiration, and we want to underline this here in Córdoba, which is the gateway between the East and the West. If in the past we were capable of living with diversity, culture, wisdom, why can't we accept the challenges of the 21st century and continue along this road of exchange of ideas and cooperation? Córdoba aspires and has full merits to do so, to become the European Cultural Capital in 2016. And it's doing that through meetings like this one, because we believe in the culture of peace. And we are doing this from the Permanent Forum of Dialogue, which is constituted by the Arab Cultural Foundation with its headquarters in Córdoba. On behalf of the local authorities, I would like to extend a very, very warm welcome to you, and I'm sure that Córdoba will inspire you in your work. I'd like to congratulate the General Secretary of the World Islamic People's Leadership for having organized this important international seminar here. And I hope that your work in Córdoba is fruitful. So once again, welcome to Córdoba, and thank you very much. We'll now give the floor to José Antonio Caballero León, who's a representative of the central government here in Córdoba. Good morning, distinguished authorities, friends. First of all, I would like to greet you on behalf of the representative of the state government here in the province of Córdoba. I would like to congratulate the organizers of this event for having chosen the city of Córdoba to hold this seminar, because Córdoba has been the birthplace of civilization throughout its history, a city of peace where we talk of peace, and our gardens, our streets, our monuments reflect and evoke tranquility and peace, and evoke dialogue and agreement and consensus. From the central government, there is a desire to promote and support policies that lead to dialogue, to promote culture, consensus between civilizations and between different cultures. And we hope that this forum will serve for you to speak about peace, about issues that bring us together, leaving aside those things that separate us. Once again, I would like to welcome you to Córdoba, our capital. I would like to invite you to experience Córdoba during your stay here. Córdoba has a lot to offer, a lot in its culture, in its windy streets, and you can experience this firsthand, this culture of Córdoba. And I hope your meeting is very productive, you reach many agreements, and that the conclusions are full. Thank you very much, and enjoy Córdoba. Pedro Moya Milanés from the Andalusian Regional Government. Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting us to be present here in the opening ceremony of this extremely important meeting. I am firmly convinced, because I know from the past and reading your programs, your documentation, this is obvious, that this is a movement which is defined by being based on three main parameters. Firstly, moderation. This group, this movement is committed to moderation as a form of expressing its convictions. Therefore, we're not talking about radicalism or extremism. Secondly, you are committed to dialogue as the sole instrument to be used in the world today to establish agreements with other cultures, agreements. This movement represents many different groups, so dialogue can be seen within the organization as well as with other organizations, and it represents a sufficiently important leadership to be able to use this dialogue through its representatives with other cultures and with other religions. And that's why the commitment that you have, the organization of this seminar, is a seminar on the Alliance of Civilizations, because this is what is at the basis of your work, and this very clearly represents the way forward for the WIPL. From a non-rhetoric perspective, just looking at the intentions, the statement of intent in the program of this meeting, I think it's very clear that what you want is for the Alliance of Civilizations to be more than a slogan, to be translated into practice and to become a commitment. So I think that when the sectors were chosen to implement the Alliance of Civilization, the seminar is very illustrative. For example, education, gender problems, youth problems, three broad areas where you can really exercise an educational activity of great depth to make the slogan Alliance of Civilizations into something real. Issues such as the universal access to education, the problem of women in the Islamic world and other cultures, the problems of youth and difficulties sometimes, and the lack of hope of many young people in countries all over the world. Often leads them to extremism as a result of not having any hope in the future. And I think the fact that you're going to deal with all these issues at this conference in the framework of the Alliance of Civilization gives us a very good idea of what the aim of the conference is. And I think that is extremely positive. Finally, I'd just like to mention something that some of you may already be aware of. And which has already been mentioned. Here in Andalusia, we also have this vocation, not only from a historic perspective that you all know after so many centuries of dialogue between cultures and coexistence. Obviously, this is our brand, our trademark, but also for the future, this idea of dialogue for the future. We don't only want to live basing ourselves on the past. We will want to move forward in dialogue. So it's no coincidence that Andalusia has so many different institutions and initiatives aimed at promoting dialogue between cultures. The Arab House, Casa Árabe, which has offices in Madrid and Córdoba, and which is supported by the regional government. Then we have the Foundation of the Three Cultures in Seville, which for some time now has been promoting dialogue and relations of cooperation between the three main religions, the Muslim religion, the Christian religion, and the Jewish religion, and has been very successful in this. So I think this shows that we are firmly committed and convinced about what we're doing, and that coincides with exactly what you are doing here in the World Islamic People Leadership. So thank you very, very much for inviting me, and please feel at home here in Andalusia. We now give the floor to Francisco Pulido Muñoz, who is President of the Provincial Authorities here in Córdoba. Thank you very much, distinguished authorities, dear friends. For me, it's a great honor to be here this morning to welcome you on behalf of the provincial authorities in Córdoba, and to do this, as has been said here, from this spirit of peace and coexistence that we have here in Córdoba and in our whole region of Andalusia. Therefore, I would like to express my satisfaction at being able to participate in this annual meeting of the WIPL and in this seminar on Alliance of Civilizations, Alliance for Peace here in Córdoba. And the institutions here in Córdoba are extremely proud to serve as your hosts. We want to promote Córdoba in the 21st century as a city for peace, as a city for dialogue. A few months ago, with the presence of the Spanish Foreign Minister and MP for Córdoba, Miguel Ángel Moratinas, and when the UN Group for the Alliance of Civilizations took place, I had the opportunity to share then, as I am with you now, the tremendous value of this project of the Alliance of Civilizations as a tremendous humanistic weapon to fight against the contrary. Fortunately, because the citizens decided it so, our country, Spain, has have been working now for the last 4 years on the side of the doves, on the side of peace, on the side of the olive branch, on the side of the Alliance of Civilizations, which was an initiative of our Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, which was welcomed in the UN and has been promoted and is being promoted from many different circles, so that the Alliance of Civilizations becomes an operational reality. I think that in this framework, it is essential to see projects and commitments from different areas and from different regions, for example, or within the European Union, or within different cities, or within different countries and alliances of countries. And I think organizations like yours is crucial here, or as is the Islamic Council here in Spain. Projects like Casa Árabe, the Arabic House, and individuals. The success of the Alliance of Civilizations, our project for human rights and peace, of sharing this common world, will depend in the long run to a great extent on people, on individuals, on brave individuals who are ethical and who are committed to society and who want to construct on a common democratic and ethical basis where we all fit in, where the whole of humanity fits in and can progress. And precisely this is what we need. We need projects, we need people, we need networks from civil society and cooperation at a regional, national and international level. We need wills and intelligence for the Alliance of Civilizations and for the construction of justice and peace. This is what we need, and this is the objective of the commitment of an institution like the one I represent, the provincial authorities here in Córdoba, and it is also what you are contributing. So congratulations for this. I would like to pledge my full support for your work and tell you how much I admire it. And I hope that, and I think that today is a very good opportunity to show solidarity, the solidarity that we want to show with different parts of the world. The situation, the drama in Iraq, in the Lebanon, Palestine. And for that reason, I believe that today, more than ever, here we are. We're carrying on, and we're going to continue to join hands, to cooperate for a better world, which, without a shadow of a doubt, is definitely possible. So thank you very much, and I wish you success. Don Mansour Escudero, head of the WIPL and head of the Islamic Council. Head of the WIPL for Europe and president of the Islamic Council. Dear friends, brothers and sisters, distinguished authorities who have made the effort to be here with us, to attend this meeting in which we are going to analyze from the General Secretariat of the World Islamic People's Leadership the Alliance of Civilizations and the possibilities of cooperation in its framework. Welcome. I would especially like to thank Mercedes Rico for being present here as Director General of for Religious Affairs of the Ministry of Justice. I know she has a very busy schedule, and it's been a great effort for her to be here with us, and I'd like to thank her very specially for doing that, for being here. And I would like to point out that Muslims are extremely happy and thankful with her work, because after 8 years of paralysis of the agreement that the Islamic Council signed with the government, we are now seeing the results thanks to her work, because before that, 8 years had gone by since the agreement was signed and nothing had happened. I'd also like to thank Mr. Francisco Pulido, as President of the regional authorities here in Córdoba, for all the support that we have received in the Islamic Council. We've seen a lot of cooperation with our activities. For example, the Halal Institute, which was the first institution that gave us its full support, and there have been many different initiatives at a level of youth as well. So thank you. And also Mr. Pedro Moya, who's been our spokesperson in the regional government, and he's always understood our projects, our attitude, and I know that he has pledged full support for this. I would also like to thank Mr. Jose Caballero Leon for being here, representing the central government, and Mr. Francisco Gallego, representing the local authorities, the new local council, and I would like to wish him all the best in this new endeavor. For Muslims who are here present, who are members of the WIPL, no introduction is necessary. Dr. Mohammed Sherif, who we all know. For those who don't know him, I would like to give you an overview of his personality and of his experience, because I know it's very important to point out both his human and cultural and political aspects and the tremendously important contribution that he has made in the Islamic world, both to articulate the organizational movement amongst Muslims, and his continued work in the mediation of conflicts and in spreading a vision of a view of a moderate Islam. But maybe I shouldn't use this word, because moderation is an essential part of Islam. And when we hear about moderate Islam and extreme Islam, it doesn't make sense, because Islam in its essence is moderate. And I have always heard from the words of Dr. Sherif, who I have been a close friend of for the last 25 years, but this was the first organization which really supported the Spanish Muslims, which contributed to the construction of what today is a mosque in Granada. So it was this organization, this was the first organization that supported this. And always in a very discreet way, working with modesty, humbly, without hitting the headlines, knowing that patience is of the essence, that there must be trust. Even when there were discrepancies and there were organizations that didn't really accept all the ideas that we thought they should, one must maintain patience, one must maintain dialogue, or the possibility for dialogue. Over the 25 years that the WIPL has existed, I know that it has always condemned and rejected any kind of violence, any form of injustice, repression, racism, all over the world, and it has always contributed at an organizational level and a governmental level to try to solve conflicts and reach positions of consensus. I would like to thank the WIPL for having chosen Spain, and specifically Córdoba, this emblematic city, which gave an example of coexistence, dialogue between different religions and different cultures, to humanity, dialogue as well between different peoples, because Córdoba is a reference point in the world for the whole of humanity, not only for Muslims. And we hope that Córdoba, through these initiatives such as the Alliance of Civilization, which is a concept which is intrinsic to Islam. Perhaps we Muslims don't speak about alliance of civilizations in our everyday conversations, but the Quran constantly talks about dialogue, cooperation, common values, in speaking with the kindest words, negotiating. All this is what constitutes the Alliance of Civilizations. It is at the basis of the Alliance of Civilizations, and we would like to congratulate Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero for this magnificent initiative. I believe that we are at a crucial point right now, because we have to move from the mere declaration of the Alliance of Civilizations, appointing committees and one thing another. This now has to filter down to the different organizations, to civil society, to each of us, each citizen at an individual level, so that we can implement this in practice on a daily basis. Cooperation, generosity, coexistence. These are the values that are contained in the Alliance of Civilizations, and we have to put it into practice. So I know that this seminar is going to be quite a small event in regards as the number of people who are attending, but I'm sure that this will facilitate the drawing up of conclusions that can be transmitted to the government and to the people who are in charge of the Alliance of Civilizations. So once again, thank you very, very much for being here, all of you, and I hope that we can reach fruitful conclusions. Thank you very much.
Tiene la palabra la señora
I'll give the floor to Ms. Mercedes Rico Carabías, the General Director of Religious Affairs of the Ministry of Justice.
Muchas gracias. Deseo ante todo
Good morning. Above all, I would like to thank the World Islamic Leadership and its General Secretary, Mr. Mohammed Sherif, who's chairing this meeting, and also want to thank the rest of the representatives of this organization, and our host and friend, Mansur Escudero, who for so many years was one of the leaders of the Spanish Federation of Spanish Islamic institutions, for his kind invitation. I want also to congratulate the organizers for their initiative, and I want to wish them all success. I also want to welcome Mr. Pedro Moya, the General Director of Exterior Action, also the President of the Provincial Government, Francisco Pulido, Mr. Francisco Tejada, and other people who are not present at the table, but I'm seeing in the audience, for example, Mr. José María Contreras, the Director of the Pluralism and Living Together Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may well recall, the President of the Spanish government, Mr. José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, was elected as the President at a very tragic moment in the history of Spain, just a few days after our capital city, Madrid, was attacked by an unprecedented terrorist attack. Most of the people hurt and the dead were Spaniards, but among them there were many immigrants and many Muslims, all of them humble workers and students who were traveling at 7:30 in the morning to attend their different professional commitments. As news came, in the sense that the authors would be people belonging to some group which would call itself to be an Islamic group, all of us started to fear the worst, that the people affected would relate that to Muslims in general, that society would breed a certain fissure, a certain fear against the Islamic community, and also that the distance would be broadened between Spain and the Muslim world. But the reality, thank God, did not go in that sense. In our country, thanks to the maturity of our society, which for 40 years has been suffering from terrorist attacks and has learned a lot how to distinguish between criminals and well-wheeling citizens, and also thanks to the reaction of all organizations and Islamic institutions of Spain condemning the terrorist attack and highlighting the complete opposition between the Islamic faith and crime, as our friend Mansour was saying. Thanks to that, fear did not reign. The reaction of the government was to get deeper into the way towards coexistence, and also among the different religious groups in our society, while reinforcing the rights of all and not limiting them, while creating instruments which would promote mutual understanding, a good image of minorities in a plural and democratic society. Facing what's our international relationships, Spain led an initiative before the United Nations in order to alleviate that the terrible theories such as that of the clash of civilizations were having in the international community, especially after the big attacks of Madrid and New York, and also considering how things were going in Iraq after the invasion, the paralysis of the peace process in the Middle East, which is back in the headlines and showing us the most sad fruits we could think of, and after the frustration generated by the coming to an arrest of all initiatives for peace in Asia and Africa, and together with Turkish Prime Minister Mr. Zapatero, introduced that initiative of the Alliance of Civilization, an initiative which is nowadays backed by most countries, most member countries, especially by Muslim countries and also by European countries. We should also say that it was very wholeheartedly supported by most of the communities, institutions and associations, Islamic association institutions in Spain, to the point that in May 2006, President Zapatero called for a meeting at the seat of the government at the La Moncloa in order to meet with a broad representation of the Spanish Islamic community. During the seminar, we'll be able to talk about the configuration this initiative is taking up, the report by the top-level group designated by the General Secretary in 2006, and its recommendations in international and national scale. And it's our duty to put that into effect. So what's left for me to say is to thank the organizers for being so courteous so as to invite me to the opening ceremony of this seminar, a seminar which is gathering us all at a wonderful city, enjoying such a long history. Thank you.
Tiene la palabra el doctor Mohammed.
I would like now to give the floor to Dr. Mohammed Ahmed, the General Secretary of the Popular Islamic Leadership.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيدة مرسيدس كارابياس المديرة العامة للشؤون الدينية بوزارة العدل في حكومة إسبانيا. السيد منصور سكوديرو نائب رئيس المجلس الإسلامي في إسبانيا. السيد فرانسيسكو بوليدو رئيس برلمان قرطبة. السيد بيدرو مويا مستشار الحكومة الأندلسية.
Secretario General de Acción Exterior de la Junta de Andalucía.
والحكومة الأسبانية. والسيد فرانسيسكو تيخادا ممثل بلدية قرطبة. الإخوة أعضاء المكتب التنفيذي في القيادة الشعبية الإسلامية العالمية
de la Organización de Liderazgo Islámico Mundial y señores
حضرات السيدات والسادة الإخوة والأخوات الضيوف السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا استأذنت الإخوة أن آتي لأتكلم من هنا حتى أستطيع أن أراكم وأرى الإخوة الذين تكلموا كلمات طيبة ومهمة ومشجعة لهذا اللقاء الذي نلتقيه اليوم هنا. أنا أشكرهم جميعاً وعلى رأسهم السيدة مرسيدس على هذه الكلمات التي تعبر عن برنامج وتوجه إيجابي وإنساني وحضاري من أسبانيا، حكومة وشعبا، حكومة على مستوى حكومة أسبانيا نفسها، وعلى مستوى حكومة الإقليم، وعلى مستوى هذه المدينة العريقة، وعلى مستوى المجلس الإسلامي في أسبانيا. الحقيقة هذا ليس بغريب، وهو أمر مهم لأننا نلتقي في مدينة عظيمة. مدينة قرطبة كانت دائما هي مدينة الحضارة ومدينة الثقافة ومدينة الحوار.
It's what we expect from Spain. We are at this cradle of civilizations and reaching among the different cultures. This common life,
تاريخ عريق.
The followers of the three monotheistic religions have enjoyed coexistence in the city in other times. The invitation we got from members of the Executive Committee of the International Islamic Leadership, Mr. Mansour Escudero, to celebrate this meeting at this province, at this city, is a response to the interest these kind of meetings have in a city like Córdoba. So that's why we want to thank the Spanish government and all the representatives of the different governmental and non-governmental institutions and the participants in the seminar for their work in order to translate into true reality these wishes to create and to jointly build lasting peace, the peace that humanity so much needs. Like our friends and colleagues said, it is not just a historic nostalgia, it's a very badly needed reality, a reality we would like to touch. And the Spanish government, especially through its president, have made a choice of supporting an initiative such as the Alliance of Civilizations, receiving the support of many governmental and non-governmental institutions and many goodwill people who firmly believe in the alternative that dialogue and peace offer for us. And we, from the World Islamic Popular Leadership, have appreciated this initiative and have backed it up because it shows that peace, love, coexistence are an alternative, a reliable alternative, and which could be feasible for making a common front when confronting the clash of cultures. All that against those calls for confrontation which are being made from other points. We are rather in this place looking for common denominators and for transversal values which would turn these wishes into something true. In Rome, I attended a similar meeting some 2 years ago a meeting of the Euro-Mediterranean Observatory, and a meeting which was attended by many representatives of institutions all throughout the Mediterranean. There, I talked about the transcendence of the initiative of Mr. Rodríguez Zapatero. Brethren, I'd like to take advantage of this opportunity to say some words addressed to the Executive Committee of the World Islamic Popular Leadership. I want to transmit to them the sincere greetings of our leader Mohammed al-Gaddafi, who always supported our organization while knowing the tasks it's developing in the promotion for the coexistence among civilizations and cultures, especially the initiatives of the Islamic world oriented towards promoting such dialogue. I also want to use this opportunity to tell you about my sincere gratefulness for your warm welcome. I also would like to take advantage of this moment in order to tell you that the General Secretariat of the World Islamic Popular Leadership is led by the Executive Committee, which celebrates its meeting once every 4 years, and it's made up by other subsidiary institutions to which other institutions distributed all throughout the world belong to. This conference, this institution studies many different aspects, communication, education, while trying to build bridges with the other and with the different religions and other foundations and academies which are not just Islamic, but also they want to hold permanent contacts with governments and their representatives and the civil society of different countries. At the conference celebrated by our institution, its members are chosen every 4 years, and they celebrate periodic meetings once a year, and they choose that executive committee whose members may be assistant secretaries to the general secretary, who's chosen every 4 years, as I said before. The executive committee has got a representative for the two Americas, another representative from the Arab area, from the Arab region, another one from Asia, another one from Africa, and another one from Europe. And they are considered to be assistant secretaries to the General Secretary. And they also hold periodic meetings every 6 years in order to reactivate 6 months, not 6 years, in order to reactivate their decisions. Right at this moment, it is the second time that we celebrate such meeting in Europe. The General Secretariat also celebrated its meetings in Canada, then in Azerbaijan, in some Arab countries, of course, in Africa, and for Europe, the first celebration took place at the conference prior to this year in France, and then there are representatives from different institutions, also from many different institutions in Spain, and also there are representatives from political parties, like we listened to, like we heard before of Spanish institutions. Nicolas Sarkozy, when he was the Ministry of the Home for Home Issues in France, was also present in at some of these meetings. I was talking about setting up bridges for fluent communication in order to reactivate dialogue among civilizations, and I was saying that we were always concerned about looking for channels which would help us translate into visible gestures and into true acts this will. Dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen, our meetings are always open, both at the level of the General Secretary and in terms of the extraordinary meetings we have every 4 years. And all the guests may participate as observers in order to enrich discussions. In the discussions we celebrate within the framework of the Executive Committee, we always take care about everything which could help towards the preservation of the dignity of the human being, because the Islamic message is that of the dignity of the human being independently of the creed or culture. Man is a representative of God in the land. That's what the Quran says. And we have dignified men. And the Quran doesn't say we have dignified the Muslims, nor the Christians, nor the Jewish. So there, all men have a place. This dignity, independently of the strength any man may boast of, that means trying not to attack the dignity of other human beings, whatever their conditions might be, of poorness or deprivation. And it is a natural law, and this kind of aggression also means a failure on the part of the attacker, because he or she's got no other alternative and doesn't dialogue. The Quran says, we have created you from one single soul, and we turn you into people and tribes for you to meet each other. And this greatness of spirit, this surah, openly talks about dialogue among peoples and tribes, not for them to dissent or quarrel, but rather for them to look for common ways for them to love each other and understand each other in a reciprocal manner. It is a right of the human being to get in contact with God in order to fulfill his or her mission on the earth. So the people who do not know this philosophy, be them Muslim or of other faith, we may say they are people who do not know of reality, trying to avoid saying that they are ignorant of the philosophy of Islam. When we face such lack of knowledge, we see that they can degenerate into behavior and reactions which can be referred to as radicalism, fundamentalism, or extremism, which may lead towards very negative consequences, not just for the attacker, but also for the rest of mankind. Fortunately, this rule, it is not just to be spread to these groups of ignorant people, but also to governmental institutions who do not know such a reality and who do not know the essence of a human being and the authenticity of the contents of peace. This lack of knowledge, this ignorance, leads towards reactions and behaviors which lead to extermination, barbaric acts. So every time we look into what's happening in the world, we see that there are areas for friction, for conflict, all of them having their origin in the lack of mutual knowledge. So that's why we are here to accept each other. Spain is a symbol of these of this kind of meeting of different points of view, and it still pretends to be the cradle for the future meetings of goodwill people who have preferred to opt for peace and do not want to be like those pessimists who prefer to refer to the clash of cultures or civilizations. These kind of meetings shall be multiplied in order to infuse new life into the spirit of tolerance Spain has been enjoying for a long time. So that's why Spain opens its arms in order to embrace these calls for the dialogue among cultures and people. So within the framework of the Executive Committee of the World Islamic People Leadership, we will always discuss this issue on the true channel to infuse this philosophy into people is education and teaching. Islamic world, before the last events which happened at the end of the last century, and despite what's happening today, have always followed that philosophy, because it's the one which corresponds to the essence of Islam. And when we started this way, at the beginning, people look at us with the spies, and they did not value our initiatives. Thank God today they are now seeing that we are right. They believe what we do and what we say. And they say that what we did from the beginning was the right choice. We always prayed to God, may He be praised, that He grants us these goods, which are just our humble wish. But we not with lazy arms. We are to intervene, to communicate in daily life, and to maintain communications at the level of institutions and establishment, but of course in the framework of education, because education is what allows us to deeply understand what's behind the concept of human dignity, and that's what we are working for many years. And that meeting, I may say that, and this meeting I think is going to be a significant contribution to continue hosting new tools for work, new experiences, which have been already adopted within World Islamic People Leadership.
Those of you who are here and those people who will arrive this afternoon are very prestigious in the world of wisdom. Eminent authorities in the Islamic world who have been chosen amongst more than 400 Islamic representatives in the world of jurisprudence, because everybody believes that wisdom has to accompany dialogue between cultures, and those people are people who assume the philosophy of the Alliance of Civilizations and Cultures to strengthen peace amongst all men and women. Thank you very much for your attention. I would like to thank all the delegates and my colleagues of the leadership of the WIPL, and peace. I would like to wish you peace. So we officially open then this international seminar, Alliance of Civilizations, Alliance for Peace, and the World Islamic People's Leadership Meeting. We are now going to break for coffee, and at 12:15 we'll start our first seminar, the title of which is The Project of the Alliance of Civilizations, the Current State of Affairs. Thank you very much.